Good morning, everybody. Jaden here, and today I'm going to be doing a quick little video on the best way to do a OBD0 to OBD1 conversion on a second-gen CRX, specifically the VTEC wiring and the O2 sensor. So a few things you're going to need. You will need an OBD1 O2 sensor. I picked up a Denso 234 4099. It is a 4-wire with 2 blacks, a blue, and a white. And then you will need, I recommend just like a cheap like electrical kit. This was like 15 bucks at Menards. And then you will also need a P28 OBD1 VTEC ECU, as well as some kind of OBD0 to OBD1 jumper harness for your engine and body harness to your ECU. I personally bought the Blox Racing harness. However, there are Amazon harnesses that you can buy that probably work just as good. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so this is the setup down here. We have our P28 and then our jumper harness going from the body and the engine harness to the ECU, and then it also comes with this pigtail. You can find a guide on their website for the product specifications to which each of these goes to. I have the VTEC wires metered out here, the purple and the black, and then the O2 sensor wires metered out, another black, red, white, and blue, and I'll go over what each of those are in just a moment. All right, after checking the product sheet, your black is going to be your VTEC pressure switch, and your purple is going to be your solenoid signal. So to run these through the firewall, what you're going to do is you're going to want like a clothes hanger or something long and flexible. I'm using like a locksmith tool, but anything long and flexible will work. So if you go under where the ECU is, you can see where we're going to run the wires. I use the factory engine harness grommet and just sliced a little X in it. If you get up here next to this AC thingamabobber, you peel it back and you can see this grommet. I just kind of cut a little X into the side of it because this is where it's malleable, and shoved my coat hanger through, and it should come out on the other side in the engine bay. Before I forget, and before I run these through the firewall, I'll go over what each of these is. So the white is going to be your signal positive, your black is going to be your signal ground, and then your red and blue wires are going to be your 2 heater wires, but there's no polarity, so it's interchangeable. You can attach it to whatever the 2 heater wires are on your plug. My plug, the 4 wires are, as said, white, green, orange, and yellow. White is my signal positive. Green is going to be my signal ground, orange is going to be my heater ground, and tan is going to be my heater positive. Like I said, it doesn't matter because whatever order you hook it up in, there's no polarity. It's just good to know. But your plug can full well have different colors. This is just what it is on my harness from a D16Y8. It's kind of ghetto, but as you can see, what I've done is taken my clothes hanger and then electrical taped my 2 VTEC wires up top and my 4 O2 wires down here, and I'm just going to go and continue to feed this wire through the firewall and hope nothing gets caught. I tried to tape them as close to the ends as possible, because if you don't, there's a pretty good chance of them getting snagged on the grommet or just being more annoying than it needs to be. Thing is, you will also need to feed through this gray wire for your VTEC pressure switch ground. I guess you can run it to your ECU, but you can also ground it at the thermostat housing, which I will show you. I'm not really sure what the difference is. I think it's chipped versus non-chipped ECUs. So if you come under the hood here, you can go down here and kind of see right down here where I have that wire coming through the firewall. And I'm just going to go ahead, snag that, and pull it through. Now that we have our 2 VTEC wires through, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the solenoid. One thing I forgot to mention is you will also need, mine was broken off. If you have one of these, then that's good. But I just got this from Amazon for like 8 or 10 bucks. It is just a replacement clip for your pressure switch, and it's going to have your ECU wiring and your ground. I'm pretty sure this is ground. And then it's just going to be one wire for your actual signal on your solenoid. And mine, it should have a clip, but mine just has a spade terminal. One of the spade terminals in the kit will work for this. All right, so now we have all three of our VTEC wires hooked up. We have our solenoid signal, our pressure switch signal, and then our pressure switch ground. I did change my mind. I was initially going to ground the pressure switch down here, if you can see that there, to the bolt on the thermostat housing. But this harness does come preloaded with a wire for grounding. So I'm gonna try this out. If it doesn't work, I would just go ahead and get. All right, so now we've got the car jacked up and we can start talking about the O2 sensor. So on the second gen CRX, your O2 sensor is gonna be a downstream one right here. It's gonna be one single one wire O2 sensor, and it will run, as you can see, to that black connector right there. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is unplug that and then go ahead and run the wires, as you can see up there, so we can wire in the new one. Also, when disconnecting the old O2 sensor, I absolutely recommend doing it from the top. If you come here, right next to the intake, you can see the connection right down here. Here's the disconnected end of it. All you're gonna go ahead and do is just pull, either push down or pull up on this, and it should come right out. All right, here's what big news media won't tell you, is that this oxygen sensor is the biggest pain in the ass if you don't have the right tools for it. So I recommend having one of these adjustable ratchets and then a 7/8 Harbor Freight oxygen sensor wrench, or you can just cut the wire, but you will need a deep socket either way. And then I recommend angling it like this, going over top and just cranking the shit out of it, because that's really the only way, especially if you have a car from, you know, that's a little bit rusty. It's going to be a pain in the ass. I had to soak it with WD-40 3 different times. Yeah, so your results may vary. And if I can get this out of here, here is the old oxygen sensor. It's looking pretty toasty. And here is the connector plug for it. And it looks like that. And again, for the wiring on the O2 sensor, on the harness, we're gonna have white, red, black, and blue. And on the plug, the OBD1 plug, we're gonna have green, yellow, orange, and white. So we're gonna go ahead and mate white to white, green to black, and then orange and tan, or orange and yellow, can go to either red or blue because they're both the heater wires. Now, in the interest of making lives a little bit easier for ourselves in the future, we are just gonna go ahead and do what you would do on any normal oxygen sensor replacement and throw a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. Make sure to wipe off any extra you get on the actual sensor itself. All right, now we've fully wired in our new O2 sensor. Now all there is to do is go underneath and unscrew the new one, protect this with some heat shield, and then run it down where the old one was and screw it back in. Also, another thing I forgot to mention about reinstalling the oxygen sensor is you're gonna want to go ahead and disconnect the clip, the one that is now wired into the harness going to the ECU, because if you're trying to spin this on, it's gonna twist up like crazy, and it's gonna be a lot harder on your wires than you want it to be. So I do recommend just unclipping that really quick, or unclipping it before you drop the oxygen sensor down here. All right, here's our fully installed oxygen sensor. The only thing left to do is torque it down to 33 pound-feet, but I have no clearance for a torque wrench, so that will be a problem for future me. I would recommend pulling the slack back through the firewall, because as you can see, there's a lot of slack left over, as well as shielding those wires, and that should be it. All right, here we are a couple days later. Unfortunately, the car is not running right now because I installed the new distributor without timing it right away, and it won't start at the moment. So unfortunately, I'm not able to go out and show the VTEC working and show the O2 sensor doing its thing. But hopefully this tutorial helped at least one person. The hardest part about this job, it's very beginner friendly. The most difficult piece, at least for me, was the information gathering.
So much of this involves like just digging through forums that are 10 or 15 years old to find one specific answer. So hopefully this is just a nice one size fits all guide for the conversion. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I will try my best to answer them. But I am by no means a mechanic and may not be able to help.
Right, that is gonna do it for the video today. If this helped anybody, please consider liking and subscribing. And if I missed anything, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. And that's all I got. Have a good day, everybody.